Hello YouTube friends. Well, today is Sunday, the 4th of July for the year 2010. And just saying 2010 is is hard for me to believe. I've mentioned before in my videos that I used to think about far into the future and make a little chart and list years, and I guess I would list them by decade. I'd list 1980, 1990, the year 2000, which was at the point it began to become unthinkable, then 2010, 2020. And here we are. Before I knew it, and I guess a lot of you older folks are the same way, before we knew it, it's 2010. The second millennium and the end of the first decade of that first century of that second millennium. 2,000 years since the death of Christ. 2,000 years, 2010 years AD. But anyway, here I sit. This is our Independence Day here in the United States, and it's a greatly celebrated day for us. And for you Great Britain, UK watchers, this is the day that our country, of course, became independent from your country. We became the United States of America, 1775. I guess it was 1776, really. I may have messed up my own history lesson there. 1776. So, that many years ago, and we became a free country. And Americans celebrated in, I guess, an unusual way. We go out and have a good time. Most of us think about that this is the birth date of our country, the birth date of our independence. But we'll go out and have a good time. We shoot fireworks at night, celebrate the 4th with fireworks displays. Families go camping and picnicking, boating. It's big around this area since we have the big lakes and the river. There's a lot of people on the river today. But I'm spending a quiet 4th of July. My family is off on vacation down in Florida, down at Sarasota. So I'm, as the movie said, home alone, even though some of my other families are around. We kind of got together yesterday and made homemade ice cream. Again, a thing people do on the 4th of July. A lot of people cook barbecue pork, have barbecue dinners on the 4th. There's some communities around have 4th of July celebrations and barbecue and barbecue chicken and such as that, watermelon, homemade ice cream. All those things are a part of the celebration of the 4th of July. But here I am. I'm again in a quiet place, and if you've watched my videos in the past, you know that some of my favorite places are quiet places. And I'm sitting on a ridge near Crow Mountain. What's Crow Mountain? Not too far to the west side of what is called Big Coon Creek. Around here people refer to what is referred to in the rest of the world as raccoons. We shorten it to coons. And there's 2 creeks in this area. One is called Little Coon Creek, the other is called Big Coon Creek. And this area is real close to where my family settled when this was still pioneer country. Back in the early 1800s, I guess within 10, 15 miles is the old cove, the old home place where my great-great-grandfather Walker, back then the last name was called Mathis. Walker Mathis settled with his wife, Levana. She was Levana Isbell, and they settled there those many years ago. It's no longer our family land. There's an old family cemetery there where my great-great-great-grandfather, grandmother, some of my great-great-uncles, such as that, are buried. And I like to come up in this area. Gives me a good feeling to be back close to where my pioneer fathers first came into this area. They actually came in here while they were still wild Native Americans in this area. before this was land opened up for settlement by the U.S. government. They came in here and started, built cabins and started farms and grew their families and such as that. So that's where I am. I'm going to be quiet just a minute. This is a quiet area, and there's a little breeze blowing, and if you listen, you can hear the birds chirping. So I'm going to be quiet and let you hear the birds chirp just a minute. You probably hear the breezes blowing through the trees. And you know, even in this, we live in sort of a rural area here. It's real hard anymore to find an area where there's natural quiet. There's, you hear planes flying above, or you hear trucks or cars on the highway, you hear boats on the river. But this is one of the more remote areas of the county. So you can actually, if you can hear quiet, you can hear quiet right here. And I like to come up into here and imagine how my ancestors felt when there weren't all those sounds. There were no motorized vehicles, a wagon and a mule team or a horse team. And they must have had great quiet. It must have been mighty peaceful for them. They could hear the natural sounds of birds and the wind blowing and things like that, the thunder and the lightning storm. But they didn't have to put up with motors running. And I've got to reach down and get something here I dropped. I have my little remote for the camera that I use, and I dropped it there in the dirt. And notice behind me I'm sitting on a dirt road here. There's not too many dirt roads or rock roads or gravel roads left in our county, but this is one of them. And it's right out through the middle of the woods. Back behind the camera there, it falls off, a steep little grade going down the ridge. And as you can see over my left shoulder there, that little dirt road goes on up the hill there. Nobody lives back in here. This is part of a wildlife refuge called Skyline Management Area. And it's, the land is either owned by or leased by the state of Alabama. And they do a real good job of promoting deer population, wild turkey, all kind of small animals, raccoons and possums and squirrels and just anything you can name back in here. We don't have any bear at all in this area. Used to, but when it became a little thickly populated, the bear left out. There's still some bobcats in this area, and over the past few years we've had some, from out west, we've had some coyote move into this area. It's quite a few coyote. There's some wild boar, wild pigs in this area. And we've also kind of moved up from the southern part of our state, from South Alabama. We now have some armadillo. You see some armadillo killed on the road sometimes. And the bird population is very good here. We have a lot of waterfowl and songbirds that you're hearing in the trees. And if you'll notice, this is a very thickly grown area with trees and everything. Even though the trees were cut back over the years since this area was settled for logging, some of the areas are being left alone now, and there's still quite a few big hardwood, mostly hardwood trees. If you look around, you'll see a few pine, you'll see some cedar, and some of the higher areas you might find a little hemlock and things like that. I don't know if you heard it there, but there's a bee buzzing around. We have a lot of insects in the area. The mosquitoes are not real bad right here right now. I've sat here for a little while and no mosquitoes around. There are some bees around, things like that. They won't bother you. But anyway, that's where I sit. Now I started something on my website the other day, on the Mess About One website, and it's a new feature that YouTube offers. And what it is, you may have seen it on some sites. If you haven't, you might want to go to my Mess About One site and look at it, maybe take part in it. But it allows the owner of the website to list a poll, ask a question, and it gives viewers an opportunity to answer that question. I did that a few weeks back. I think I've had 3 or 4 answers on it. But I brought a little paper with me today. I printed off. And my question was, what kind of videos would you like to see on my Mess About One channel? I think was the question. And I have 3 answers, and I'll try to answer those. I've got a big black bee flying around here. I'll try to answer those. You see I got the little sheet in front of me here. And the first comment came from 1/5 Native. It's her, his or her, I don't know which it is, YouTube name. And I'm thinking by somebody saying 1/5 Native, they are saying that their bloodline is a fifth of Native American. At least that would be my assumption. I don't know that for sure. That's my assumption. But anyway, 1/5 Native, don't know this person's real name. And their suggestion was, when I asked what kind of videos would you like to see, they said maybe some old stuff like general or drug stores in your area that haven't changed in decades. I remember the butcher used to bring the meat every Saturday wrapped in brown paper in various sizes on the back window shelf of his car. This person says, I love old things. And that's 1/5 Native said that. You know, there used to be, not too many decades back, as this person asked, a lot of old general stores around that were still making it and still open it. And they were a joy to go into. But due to the big box stores, the big stores in our country we call Walmart, Kmart, things like that, that have just about everything from groceries down to electrical to mechanical to you name it, electronics and auto supplies and household supplies, just about everything. All those older stores had a very hard time to compete, and most of them, just about all of them, have gone out of business in the last 10, 20 years. So they're real hard to find. Out in the smaller communities, there are still some small stores. And I may try to get around and go to some of those and show you how those still are. Of course, most of them have modernized. Yeah. If you want to go back and see the real old store, it's real hard to find anymore. But here in Scottsboro, we do have one drugstore, and it was an old drugstore. I think started back in might have been even in the 1800s. I'll have to check up on my facts on that one. But it's still in operation. Although it's not a drugstore, the building's still there. The soda fountain is still there. The shelves, the tables, and all that are still there. Except it's no longer run as a drugstore. There again, drugstores have been kind of taken over by big box stores, big chain stores. I've got a bug circling my leg here I'm going to shoo off. But that store's still there. And it's run as a little snack shop soda fountain. It's called Payne's Drugstore. It's on the square here in our small town, Alabama town of Scottsboro. And I may try to make a trip by Payne's and talk to the people that are owning it. Matter of fact, I think the people that own it have a YouTube channel and have had some things on about Payne Drugstore before. And I might look up and put a link to those, or I'll go by myself and maybe make a video. And but things have changed. And this person was talking about what they remembered when the butcher would bring the meat to the house. And I don't remember that so much, but I do remember that we had milk delivery. And they would leave however you wanted it, however much you wanted it. They would leave fresh milk in glass bottles sitting on the front step. And in town, now the country didn't have that. But if you lived in town, they had milk delivery. And every morning you could go out and have fresh, you might get a pint, a quart of milk, depending on what your family would drink for the day. And that fresh milk would be sitting by the front door by breakfast time. The milkman had gone around and delivered those things, and you set your bottle out from the day before. He took the old bottle, gave you a fresh bottle of milk, and you had fresh milk. I guess the reason they did that, the refrigeration probably wasn't that good back in those days. I'm thinking this was in the 40s and 50s, I can remember that. So you had fresh milk and you didn't have to worry about it spoiling. I don't know if that milk was pasteurized or not. I guess it was. I guess it was pasteurized. But if it wasn't, that would be even a better reason for it being delivered daily, because not being pasteurized, I guess it could spoil quicker. But I do remember that. And I do still remember when the doctor would come to the house. If you had a sick child, or if you were sick yourself, didn't feel like getting out and going to his office or going to, well, I guess we didn't have any emergency room back in those days, but the doctor would make a house call. And I can remember Dr. Hodges coming to our house when I had, I guess, the measles and maybe when I had the mumps. So instead of my mother getting me up and dragging me down to his office and waiting at the office, he just came by the house and did his house call there. And I suppose the reason for that was it wasn't till just a few years ago that many families had more than one car in the family. And usually during the day, the husband drove that car off to his job, and the wife and the kids were left at home with no transportation. So it would have been real hard. Now I've got a bug on my neck here I'm going to have to get rid of. I think it was a June bug. I hope it was a June bug. So there are some wild critters out here in the I think I have a bug down in my shirt. Let me check it out. Yeah, I guess not. That'll add to the video. I had a bug fly and he hit me right on the side of the neck here, and he started crawling. I don't know what kind he was or where he went, but if he moves around again, I guess I'll be pulling the shirt off to find him. I don't feel anything crawling right now. But anyway, I was talking about the doctors. They would make house call because normally the family didn't have a car to haul people off to the office. So maybe that answers that first suggestion. I won't fulfill that one today, but I'll put that in my queue and we'll see what we can do about getting a recording at the old drugstore. Second one comes from Love, Peace to You. And it's written out love and peace, and then the number 2, you, is this YouTube viewer. That's a nice name there, nice handle for YouTube. And again, I don't know if this is a lady or a man, a boy or a girl, but it's Love, Peace to You. And I'm betting it's a woman or a girl by that name. I don't know that for a fact. This person says, how much luck has to do with success in life? And you might make a video about that. And I don't know if I'll make a whole video about it, but I might use part of this video to talk about it. Luck. And then you got to define luck first, I guess. I guess luck is what happens to you. It could be bad luck or good luck, I guess. But what happens to you without you actively trying to make it happen, I guess. It just happens. I guess that's luck, circumstance, whatever. And of course that has I'd say an effect on your success or a lack of success. And you know, an example of that to me is like maybe an entertainer has never had any recognition, but just so happens they were playing on the street one day, and by luck a person walks by that might be in the music industry and hears this person, likes how they sound, makes arrangements to have them come in for an audition, and through that audition they grow and become a famous star, a big star. That's happened many times, I guess. And that, of course, that would be luck. If you were in a place where you weren't really seeking it, somebody walked by and discovered you, I guess that would be luck. And it would contribute to your success. What about bad luck? That's easy to qualify too. Say an auto accident. That would be bad luck. If it wasn't your fault, if another vehicle came across the center line and struck your vehicle and injured you where you couldn't do the things in life that you might have been able to do, you would probably be less successful due to bad luck. You're in the wrong place at the wrong time. So luck, either way, bad luck or good luck, has a lot to do with a person's success in life. Of course, if you can't depend on luck. Yeah, I see a lot of kids in our country especially hoping that they'll be lucky and they can become either entertainers or maybe sports stars. And they assume that someday they'll be discovered or somebody will realize they're good enough at football or baseball to give them a scholarship or give them a contract to a major team. Or they get discovered they're a great country singer or a great rock singer. Now, if you depended on luck enough to disregard what you should do in case luck doesn't come on, I guess depending on luck for success would be a bad thing. And I think what we have to do, we have to promote ourselves as far as we can, get ourselves educated the best we can, or get the best sports training or musical training as we can, do the best we can with our natural abilities and our hard work, and then if luck comes along, it might add to it and get you to the point you might want to be. Luck may never come along. Bad luck may come along. So I think we don't need to depend on luck. We need to depend on the things that we see others have done that made them successful, which is normally dedication, hard work. Some people don't want to hear these words, but dedication, hard work, honesty, education. You know, there's some people I've known that to be around them and see them, you think they never would be a success, and through mostly determination and hard work and some luck, they are a success. And then you have other people that maybe you went to school with, and you say they came from a great family, they've had all the opportunities, and everybody assumes they're going to be a success, but due maybe not to applying themselves or luck, they never are success. So that's kind of my thought about luck and bad luck. And it's not just on success in life, it's all parts of our life. It could go anywhere from marriage to health to all that, not just the successful part, not just the business or working part of our life. So luck is a big thing. I don't think you can do anything about it, but like I said, you can do things about the rest of your life. And maybe if it's bad luck, it won't affect you quite as bad. And maybe if it's good luck, you'll even do better. So I still think a person has to be prepared and not depend on luck. Now you might say, well, a lot of people play the lottery. It's a big deal here in this country. I don't know how it is in the rest of the world. I guess it's a big deal. Play the lottery, and they'll have hundreds of millions of dollars in the lottery. And some people will pay every paycheck. They'll spend a portion of their money to buy lottery tickets, and some few individuals do win the lottery. But there again, that's just luck. Very, 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 very rare luck to do that. I think maybe you couldn't depend on being lucky and winning the lottery for your future success. Hope that answered your question. That's Love, Peace, number 2, you. And I have one more down here, and I like this YouTuber name also, and I know this gentleman from, I won't say his other YouTube name, but we have become YouTube friends, I guess. And this YouTube name he uses is Hard Time Finding Name. That's pretty neat. You know, it is hard to find a name on YouTube, especially if you want to use something that's common, like a person's name. You have to go John 2476 to find a name or something like that. So it's real hard to find a name. And even some of the things you think might be available are used up. But when you have millions of people that are YouTube users, and they have picked all the good names, I guess, to start with, this gentleman, and I know he's a gentleman, says his name is Hard Time Finding Name. So he found that one. That's good. And he stated, and this has to do with their situation we have down in the Gulf of Mexico. I live in Alabama, in northeastern Alabama. If you don't know anything about the continental United States. And I know people from many parts of the world watch these things, to my amazement. But Alabama borders the Gulf of Mexico. We have one small section of our state that borders for a few miles, tens of miles, maybe 100 miles, borders the Gulf of Mexico. And it's down around the area of Mobile. Again, a little geography lesson. New Orleans is to the west of us. There's a little section of Mississippi that goes down to the Gulf. And then there's Alabama with Mobile, and then you start into Florida, which has a great deal of shoreline, from Pensacola all the way around down past Miami up to Jacksonville. But anyway, Alabama is on the Gulf Coast. And if you've watched any news in the last couple of months, I guess, you know about the oil spill down in the Gulf of Mexico. They had a BP, you Great Britain guys, UK guys, British Petroleum, somehow, I don't understand all these contracts and all these things, had a contract to to make an oil well. And there's thousands of oil wells out in the Gulf of Mexico. But they had a deep water well out in the Gulf of Mexico. Now there are some shallow wells that don't go down real deep, but due to environmental causes and whatever, our government or a regulation authority, whatever, thought it would be safer to do deep water drilling, less likely to pollute the coast, they thought. But as you know, they had a blowout down there, some human error, mechanical error on the drilling rig, broke a pipeline. Their safety features didn't work. Started spilling millions of gallons of oil, raw oil, crude oil, straight out of the ground into the Gulf of Mexico, and it's making a mess. And there's oil from, I guess, Texas to Florida Panhandle coming ashore. It's killing seabirds. It's polluting the beaches. They think it's polluting some of the estuaries, the Gulf Islands. They say they've even found it in some of the sea creatures, crabs and whatever. So it's really made a mess. So that's what this gentleman has made his suggestion about. And he said, do you have any thoughts on how to stop a leaking oil well? Well, I could be a billionaire if I had good thoughts about that. They are, BP and the government are spending millions of dollars down there trying to contain this oil leak. But can you imagine water as deep as a mile, 5,280 feet further probably from the surface? That's a long way even on land, but going straight down, that's for sure a long way. The pressures are terrific down at that level, the water pressures. The light level is zero, black, pitch black. But that's where it's broken. It's broken down on the seabed, and it's all just gushing out. And if you've watched news, you know they've tried numerous things to stop that, to try to cap it, to try to put a dome over it and collect the oil. Everything has failed. It's worked somewhat. Everything has failed. The oil is spread for hundreds of miles in length, and I guess hundreds of miles in width all along the Gulf Coast. It's following the winds and following the current, polluting terribly, and evidently nobody knows what to do about it. Sure, you could have an idea about how to stop it, but like I say, if you wanted to be an instant billionaire, you go down there and solve that, you'd be world famous, and you'd be a rich, rich man too. So me sitting here on this ridge in northeastern Alabama, you notice I'm not headed toward the Gulf Coast. I must not have an answer to that one. I don't know. That's hard to imagine. You know, to even work on the thing, they're having to send a robotic vehicle, a robotic submarine down there to work on it. And it has lights and cameras and little robotic arms and everything. And I understand the pressures coming out of that pipeline due to the pressure in the ground is, I don't know if you've ever worked around even high pressure water, high pressure air, but when you get up in the even in the hundreds, much less the thousands of pounds per square inch. It's horrific to work with. It breaks things very easy. It's very hard to contain. And that's what they're dealing with down there, is trying to cap that thing. And it bothers me. I love the Gulf Coast. My children and family took many, many vacations to the Gulf Coast. Still have, just the last few years. And we have some of the prettiest beaches along Alabama, Florida, that area. They're snow white. I mean, they're sugar white beaches, or were before this, due to whatever rock structure is out in the Gulf washing ashore. It just makes snow white, sandy beaches. And those are being polluted and ruined. And, you know, before, you might walk along the beach down there and find a little tar ball or something that might have come from some spilled oil in the Gulf off a ship, or maybe one of the rigs leaking. But this thing is putting enough oil in there that it'll be decades, maybe a century, before that area will be completely clean again. And it's not just tar balls, they have tar pools, oil pools coming up on the beaches. And I don't think we're really being told how bad it is. I know it's a funny thing. No, it's not funny. It's a tragic thing that our government, in handling that, and I'm going to criticize President Obama, our government in handling that seems to be more concerned about how they look in their handling of the situation versus trying to solve it no matter what. Even looking bad and trying to solve it, to me, would be better than trying to look good and not solving the problem. And I guess the people at BP, at British Petroleum, are trying their best to solve it. I can't imagine why they wouldn't. They're losing millions of dollars in oil. They're losing $1 million having to pay claims against them because of what's being done by the spilled oil. But I fault our government, for our administration, for not handling that better than it's being handled. I know it's a hard problem, but I wish they would get politics out of it. Not just that, but a lot of things in our country that need to be corrected. Wish they would get politics out of it and work on completing the problem, no matter how they look or who votes for them in the next election. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to continue on like it is, and nobody knows where it's going to end. They're thinking about drilling another well and relieving the pressure. That takes months and months. Nobody even knows that'll work. They're talking about ending oil exploration in the Gulf, and we need that oil so bad, gasoline and oil. I can't see that lasting long. But anyway, I don't have a solution to that question. Not at all. And here I have rambled along a long time, but I've enjoyed it. This is a beautiful place and quiet. Just listen how quiet it is. That's quiet. I love it. There's a highway down here, a small 2-lane highway down back off the ridge, probably a half-mile down. Since I've been here, the only sounds I've heard, except for the bees and the birds and the wind, a few cars have passed by down there. You may have heard them on the recording here. And I brought a little snack up here, so I think I'll go at my truck. My truck is parked up here about 30 feet off a little side logging road. And you can see back in the background there, we have a sunny day here. The skies are blue. It's up about 90 degrees. And this beautiful wind's blowing a little bit. It's very comfortable here in the shade. I did find a shady place to sit down. And the way I do this, I put my camera up on a little tripod. I like for it to be stable. Bring a little chair, a little folding chair. And I have a new little microphone here. So you can see it there, right there. You hear me touching it. It's a little, very small, it's a little mic like you put over your ear, and it has a little wire that comes down and holds the microphone near your mouth. It looks like a bug if you don't watch it. So I've stuffed it down to my shirt and brought it up to there. And I used it one time before. Seems to work real good. Of course, I have to run a cord. See if I can find my cord down here. I have to run a cord back to my camera. It's not remote. And see, there's a little cord that runs back to the camera, plugs in front of the camera. But what it does, I'm about 4 feet away from the camera. It wouldn't be real good for the audio from here to the camera, so it brings the mic up close and lets you hear my ramblings a little better, I guess. So, if you watch these videos, I know big thing on YouTube now is high definition. But I ramble along so long, sometimes 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I think I made one the other day, a private video for one of my good viewers in the UK for 40 minutes. But when you do that, to get that thing to process and to do your editing and all that, you have to reduce the quality down. So on long videos like this, if you notice that my quality is not maybe up where HD quality, I've had to do that so I don't take so long about uploading the thing. And YouTube doesn't work real well with very, very big files, even though they claim they can handle up to 20 gigabytes, I think. I can't imagine somebody uploading a 20 gigabyte file. I try to keep all of mine below 1 gigabyte in size, and I'd rather keep them down to about 500 megabytes or something like that. But I'll reduce this and that. You'll hear a car. I think you can hear that. That's way down the highway. Anyway, I'm going to go on and turn this off. I may go around some other places today and make some videos, some 4th of July shots. I made one this morning. I'll probably upload before I upload this one. It's on the town square, or county town square. And what I've done, I've taken a view that I had an old photograph that was made back in the 1930s, and I set up the camera to take a video looking at that same area here in 2010. And I'm going to kind of bring that old video faded in and out to kind of compare how it looks 30 years ago, how it looks today. So it might look for that one. Anyway, I'm shutting her off, and I'll talk to you later. And I want to thank all of you again for watching the Mess About One channel. I enjoy making my videos and enjoy your comments. And for those of you who made the suggestions, I appreciate that. I may change that little poll or question thing there every so often and quiz you on some things, and then do videos like this to answer things that you might be interested in. Not that I can do all of them, but I can do some of them. That'll be fun. One more thing. Peter, Geriatric 1927 over in the UK was, I've said before, my inspiration to come on YouTube. Peter is one of the early YouTube stars. And I want to say this directly to Peter. I'm hoping he's watching. He does watch my videos and comments. But Peter lost a very, very close friend over the last little while, last few days. If you've ever watched his channel, you know Peter is a great guy. And he has done a lot to promote older folks using the internet. He was instrumental in a group called the Zimmers that did some old folks production at a popular song that they did. Just great stuff. But anyway, Peter lost that good friend, one of his fellow YouTubers, fellow singers in the Zimmers. And yeah, I want to pass on my condolences to you, Peter. I know that's hard to lose a close friend like that. I could tell you your video, the emotion you showed in your video, he was close, that you thought a lot of him. But I think you left him well remembered. And I'd seen him before, because everybody that's watched the Zimmers have seen him in the lead singing role on that. Seemed like a great guy, and it's always sad, no matter what age, when you lose somebody like that, where they're even they're not close friend. It saddens me here, this many thousand miles away, to know that a gentleman like that is gone, and we don't any longer have him. That's sad, it is. But anyway, my condolences. And I appreciate you putting up that video and honoring him in that way. So I'll see you later. You all have a good day. I plan to myself. And happy 4th of July for all my American viewers. And we have some problems in our country, but I think we're going to work them out. So all of you YouTube viewers, get patriotic. Let's get more patriotic, think about who we're voting for and why we're voting for them, and try to get our country back to where it should be over these next few to many years. We can do it, but it's going to take all of us working at it. I guess I've said enough. I think I'll sign it off and get up here and eat my snack, pack up my goods, and go back down into the valley. So goodbye.